Olá, o programa Direito Sem Fronteiras da TV Justiça retoma hoje a série de entrevistas que fazemos com embaixadores de outros países no Brasil. Nós queremos saber o que eles pensam sobre algumas das principais questões mundiais e também sobre as relações entre os nossos países. E a nossa entrevista de hoje é com o embaixador da Coreia em Brasília. Claro, estamos falando da Coreia do Sul. Choi Young-han tem 55 anos. É bacharel em Relações Internacionais, mestre em Administração de Empresas e diplomata desde 1991. Serviu como cônsul coreano em São Francisco, em Seattle, nos Estados Unidos, e como conselheiro nas embaixadas na Guatemala e no México. Ocupou vários cargos de direção no Ministério das Relações Exteriores da Coreia. Foi embaixador do país no Quênia, na África, e embaixador no Brasil desde agosto de 2024. Embaixador, muito obrigado pelo seu tempo, muito obrigado por esta entrevista.
Muito obrigado por vir à minha residência. Foi meu prazer, grande prazer.
Bem, a primeira pergunta que eu faço ao senhor é sobre as relações entre o Brasil e a Coreia. Como estão essas relações e como estão também os negócios entre os dois países?
Brazil is the number one trade partner in Latin American countries of Korea. The trade volume between two countries were $12.5 billion last year. And then there are around 200 Korean companies operating here in Brazil. And actually, among the most famous Korean companies are working here, like Hyundai Motor Company, Samsung Electronics, and LG Electronics. And for example, Hyundai Motor Company has a manufacturing factory in Piracicaba. They are manufacturing two brands of vehicles, Creta and Agave Vinci. And then they will have an investment plan until 2032. They will invest $11 billion into Brazil, and they are focusing on eco-friendly vehicles, which will comply the Brazilians' eco-friendly policy.
E essas relações, embaixador, podem ser ampliadas, diversificadas?
Yeah, I think there is a lot of potential to expand the economic relations between two countries. For example, we can do more in the high-tech industry. For example, space industries. There is one venture company of Korea named InnoSpace. They will launch their satellite rocket here in Brazil, in Alcantara, and they will bring the Brazilian small satellites into the orbit. Actually, they did succeed in test launching their own rocket last year. And this year, they will do the first commercial rocket launch in Alcantara someday in the second half of this year. And we can do more in the defense industry too. From this year, Korea will buy the three KC-390 from Embraer. And then in doing that, they are doing the exchange of the materials and technology between two countries. So, and then also there will be a lot of more to do in the bio industry and environmental industry. Actually, there are several bio companies of Korea operating here in Brazil, and some of them are manufacturing in reality. So in those fields, maybe two countries can exchange their experiences, and they can do joint research work, and they can do trilateral cooperation and to advance into the third country market.
Embaixador, e como estão as negociações entre a República da Coreia e o Mercosul para alcançar um acordo?
Considering the size of economic relations and trade between two countries, it is a pity that we don't have any trade agreement between two countries, including the Mercosur. Actually, the negotiation, Korea-Mercosur FTA, had begun in 2018. And then there has been several negotiation tables, but it has been stalled, mainly due to the different view on the market access field. But you know, last year, Mercosur agreed to have a FTA with European Union, and as far as I remember, this year's Mercosur summit, they agreed to expand their market and their cooperation with Asian countries. So I guess this year and next year will be a very good opportunity for both parties to restart the FTA negotiation, which has been stalled for several years.
Embaixador, um outro assunto. Em 2018, houve um encontro entre o líder da Coreia do Norte e o líder da Coreia do Sul de então. E parecia haver uma grande chance de um acordo de paz e até mesmo de reunificação entre os dois países naquele momento, quando a gente lembra que houve o encontro. Por outro lado, depois disso, a tensão voltou a crescer. Hoje, os dois países vivem um momento não muito bom de relacionamento. Há chances reais de um conflito?
Actually, personally, in 2018, I thought there would be a very big change between North and South Korea's relations. Well, as you mentioned, there was a big agreement between two parties. And then there was a big historical dialogue between the leader of North Korea and the president of the United States. But anyhow, all the efforts were just failed, and then the relationships has been stalled again. But you know, the new president of Korea was elected a month and a half ago, and then the new government is trying to reestablish the dialogue between Koreas, and then and new president is showing his gesture of reconciliation between two Koreas. So it's now North Korea's turn to respond to this new gesture from the South Korea.
Embaixador, os dois países têm feito exercícios militares. Há uma crescente tensão. Há possibilidade real de um conflito militar entre as duas partes?
I have a doubt on that. Well, as you know, two Koreas has been divided for more than 70 years. And then this division of two countries were only by the political background, not because we are different nations, not because we use different languages, not because we have different cultures. Well, we were divided only because there were Cold War, this political background. I want to say that there has been inner sympathy between two Koreas among people. And then after the Korean War, there has been a big and small conflict between two Koreas. And well, as you said, yes, there is a possibility of military conflict between two Koreas, but this situation has been managed during those years, and we had been quite successful in managing that tensions between two Koreas. So I can say that there is not that big possibility of military conflict between two Koreas at this moment.
E como os coreanos do Sul e do Norte se sentem a respeito dessa divisão?
Actually, both Koreas has been longing for the unification of Korean Peninsula. And then, well, of course, we had been under the different political regime for quite a long time. And then the goal of unification has been could be a little different from both Korea's views. But anyway, we shared the same sentiment that we are one nation and we are one country. So under the basis of people's sentiment has been the longing for the unification. But recently, the North Korea has begun to show a little different status, a little different conception toward unification. Well, they changed their constitution, and in their constitution they defined South Korea as an enemy state. So it seems that North Korea decided to remain as it is, as two separate countries, not trying to do the unification goal. So it's now under a little different situation than before.
Embaixador, eu gostaria de voltar a falar um pouco sobre as relações entre a Coreia e o Brasil. Há um bom fluxo turístico entre os dois países? Isso pode ser melhorado? Mas vou pedir que o senhor responda daqui a pouquinho, logo depois do intervalo. O Direito Sem Fronteiras, portanto, faz uma breve pausa e volta já já. O Direito Sem Fronteiras está de volta. Hoje conversamos com o embaixador da República da Coreia, Coreia do Sul, claro, Choi Yang-han. Falei bem o seu nome?
Ah, sim, claro.
Bem, embaixador, no bloco anterior eu deixei uma questão no ar e peço que o senhor responda agora. É sobre o fluxo turístico entre Brasil e Coreia. É um bom número? Pode melhorar?
Well, actually, last year, around 33,000 Brazilian people visited Korea, and then, well, the Korean visitors to Brazil is a little more than that. Well, considering the distance, physical distance from between two countries, I think this number is quite meaningful. And in these days, there are many Brazilian young people who likes Korean K-culture, K-pop, K-drama, and K-food. And so because of this the K-culture popularity here in Brazil, I think there could be more number of Brazilian people who visit Korea in the future. Well, for example, last week, you know, the famous boy group BTS two members of BTS finished their military service in Korea, and there was just a little ceremony when these two members came out of military camp. In front of that military base, there were many BTS fans, so-called army. And you know what? In Korean newspaper, I saw that there were several Brazilian girls who were waiting for their idols coming out of military camp. So I guess this is quite symbolic in terms of tourists, because they love Korean idols and they love what Korean idols are eating and what they are doing. So they want to do the same thing. They want to have the same food with their idols. So because of this, I think there could be more increasing number of Brazilian people who will visit Korea.
E o brasileiro que quer conhecer a Coreia, visitar, passear na Coreia, o que precisa fazer? Não precisa de visto, se não me engano, mas precisa de alguma autorização?
Yes, as you said, Brazilian people do not have visa to enter into Korea as long as they are visiting Korea for 90 days. But of course, there is one online registration process needed. It's a KETA. Well, it's like EFTA of United States, and what the similar registration process is applying when you enter into Canada or into any European countries. So this is just, and to register through this KETA, well, the acceptance will be issued in a days, at least in 3 days. So there will not be any difficulties to get this kind of registration through online.
Embaixador, e que pontos turísticos, lugares, cidades mais importantes ou mais atraentes para os brasileiros o senhor recomendaria?
Well, as I said, since the K-pop fandom is quite big in Brazil, I want to recommend them to visit where these K-pop idols were doing some activities. Well, of course, the Seoul, the capital city, the biggest city of Korea, will be their destination. And but in terms of tourism, there are many other cities with history and natures, like Jeju Island and the city of Gyeongju. Then, of course, there is another city called Jeonju, where you can enjoy some traditional Korean houses and some traditional Korean music and food at the same time.
Bem, o senhor chegou há pouco tempo ao Brasil, está à frente da embaixada também há pouco tempo. Talvez não tenha conhecido todo o país ainda. De qualquer maneira, que lugares, que pontos turísticos o senhor recomendaria aos coreanos que nos visitassem?
Well, as you said, I have been here in Brazil for 10 months, and I haven't visited not many places yet, but I have visited the big tourist destination in Brazil, like Rio de Janeiro, Foz do Iguaçu, and Manaus, the Amazon. Brazil is already quite well known to many Korean tourists. Well, for example, I saw a lot of YouTube videos introducing the Brazilian the tour destination. Well, I saw some people videoed this Lençóis, and some other person videoed Bonita. Well, and some people already experienced their nights in Amazon, in the forest, jungle forest. So many Korean people already well know about the Brazilian tourist destination. But well, I want to recommend Korean people to visit Brasilia, actually, this city. Because this city is a kind of symbol of modern and old, the city and the rural area, combination in both ways.
O senhor conheceu Manaus, citou a floresta amazônica como um ponto turístico importante e, claro, sabe que a chamada COP30 será realizada em Belém do Pará, que fica junto à floresta. O que o senhor espera da COP30? O que a Coreia espera da COP30 no Brasil?
Brazil's hosting COP30 in Belém is quite a symbolic one. Well, considering this year's is the 10th anniversary of the Paris Agreement, and well, as we already seen, the impact of climate change has been increasing and becoming huge and huge every year. So the efforts of the COP30 member countries to contain the impacts of the climate change in the world is very, very important homework for us all together. And then hosting this COP30 in the city of Belém, where is the gate of Amazon, it's quite symbolic and meaningful. And then, so having said that, I expect that Brazil will show their own leadership in these climate change negotiations. Well, Korea has been contributing a lot in terms of climate change response in the world. For example, there is a Global Climate Fund, GCF, and this is the biggest multilateral climate change fund in the world. And Korea contributed $600 million to this fund. And through Global Green Growth Institute, Korea contributed a lot of money at the same time. So, well, even though Korea is not the, as I said, compulsory donor countries, Korea is doing and is ready to do more to contribute to the global effort in containing the climate change.
Uma última pergunta, embaixador. O antecessor do senhor ficou famoso por cantar em público. Ele gostava muito, dizia gostar muito de músicas brasileiras. O senhor conhece a música brasileira em alguma medida? Gosta da música?
Well, yeah, I know my predecessor singing Brazilian songs in public and became quite famous among Brazilian people. So when I arrived here in Brazil, well, many of my diplomatic colleagues and many Brazilian people asked me that, do you sing too? Or something like that. Well, unfortunately, I don't know the Brazilian song yet, but I like the Brazilian bossa nova.
Oh.
And well, I prefer bossa nova to samba. Sorry to say that, but anyway, bossa nova is a very mellow and friendly music, I think. So actually, when I go to my office every morning, I turned on the YouTube and I turned on the bossa nova video as a background music. So it makes me calm and it makes me help focusing on my job.
Embaixador, foi prazer. Muito obrigado pela entrevista.
De nada, muito obrigado.
Bem, e o Direito Sem Fronteiras de hoje para por aqui, mas a gente volta na semana que vem. Você pode acompanhar a nossa programação por meio das redes sociais da TV Justiça e também pelo aplicativo TV Justiça Mais. Até a próxima!